With the offseason additions the Cardinals have made to the defensive side of the football, are they a top 10 group, Johnny Venerable?
Yeah, we're going to look back at Nick Rallis' first 2 seasons and basically give our answer as to why they're poised for a major jump in 2025. Plus, Bo and I, we get to break down our favorite and least favorite draft picks of the 2025 NFL Draft across the NFL. It's PHNX Cardinals starting now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe, but leave us a 5-star. We are, at the recording of this fine podcast, the #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast in the world, under 100 subscribers away to getting to 40,000 subscribers on the YouTube streets.
Wow.
If you would be so inclined, smash the like, throw a comment, and then above all else, hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to your boys. I'm Johnny. He's Bo. Damon, Dawg. You know the crew. What's going on?
If you've been holding out for that special subscribe, today's the day, because it would mean so much. Yeah, as you said, we just got one. Just a tick up. There you go. Now 55 away. We're just gonna go telethon style.
Yes.
We're not leaving these airwaves until we're at 40K. Actually, yeah, we'll exit as probably as humanly possible, soon as humanly possible, get into our weekend. No, can't do it without having a great show with all of you unbelievable people out there. Want to say a fond hello to our friends out in the chat, already 150 strong. How about Mike Meyer, TK3, Didi, Chris S., the Cinema Warden, Ryan Walker, K2, Aiden, DDO, or Zero, T. Cleary, Darren, Alec Bloomquist, the squad, K2, Senior Poop, what's up? Daniel Barry, Big Red 6, Shaft, the squad. That's what we like to call them here. Give yourself a like here to get it going early on, because we're going to have some very deep discussion about the Arizona Cardinals defense. Not that we haven't talked about it a lot already, with 6 of their 7 draft picks being on the defensive side of the football. But I mean, the ramifications of this defense being really good next year, a little bit more severe than I think some people would anticipate, Johnny Venerable.
Remember last year, I was thinking about, so this time last year, we'd welcome Marv, right? We were talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., and we were talking about Trey Benson, and we were talking about Jonah Williams, and it was the offseason of offense for the most part. For, there's Darius and some really bad free agent signings, but for the most part, it was the offense that took center stage. And we assumed, maybe naively, that this offense would be 8 to 10 range in the NFL based on the sum of its parts. And we would make an argument every day on the show. It's like, could they get to overall defensively, like 22nd overall? Now, keep in mind, we're going to break down these numbers here. Like, think about that for a second. Hey, if the Cardinals can just get to like 22nd overall defensively, they're going to make the playoffs. Well, they did better than that, and it was their offense, unfortunately, that let them down. And so it's funny now, this offseason has been strictly about defense. Sure, we talk about Kyler and MHJ and Drew Petzing and the sum of their parts, and maybe add no wideout or maybe not. But it's been like pass rush, corner, off-ball linebacker. 99% of their additions this offseason have been on the defensive side. In fact, outside of re-signing like the Evan Browns of the world, all of their free agent additions were on defense, notable free agent additions.
Right.
And then their entire draft, save for a 6th-round flyer on a guard, was on defense. So if they're telling you at home, like, it's not a personnel issue offensively, it is a personnel issue with what we've been trotting out, and we will be better. And I think it speaks to the argument today. It firmly in the camp that they're going to have a top 10 defense.
Right. It's like you look at the picture. We'll show you one of the 2024 offense, and we'll show you a picture of the 2025 offense. Spot the difference. Here's the little trick. There is no difference, right, as far as the offense goes. But as far as the defense, yeah, take a look at it. 2023, 2024. Nick Rallis had it going on. Look at Marco Wilson making his
very appropriate photo.
He's back on the show up there with his head in his hands. Something we saw far too often from the former 4th round pick who threw a shoe infamously. And then, of course, you got, big Garrett Williams, who's emerging as one of the best slot corners in the league. But you start to look at these numbers. Yeah, I mean, it's like you just hope the power of friendship was going to be enough for the defense to really tap into some very low expectations in 2024, and they exceeded those by a lot as you look at these numbers. I mean, we were down tremendous as far as where our expectations were. And for them to come out and really kind of start, I would say that Chargers fake fraudulent Monday night game that ESPN tried to pawn it off as, but we all knew better. Once they pitched a touchdown shutout and then proceeded to do that the next 2 home games, 3 in total, we're like, oh, wow, Nick Rallis is really coaching them up. Finally started to generate some pressure, slowed down the run, and this defense showed us something that nobody expected. And then, there was, then I think after that, going into the bye, it was just kind of like you didn't know what to expect every other week. You knew the effort was going to be there, but were they going to be able to survive, being severely undermanned on the defensive side of the football?
Can we see that graphic one more time? It's a great one from our guy, Damon. So if you look at last year to this year, I think the biggest jump obviously is in, points per game, right? They went from 31st to 15th, right? Over 4 points per game less allowed, which is seismic. It's huge in the NFL. The only category they regressed was passing yards per game. Why is that? Well, when you're giving up the most rushing yards in the NFL, typically teams don't have to throw that much. So that 212 in 2023, pretty fraudulent, right? It's not like the Cardinals had a bevy of number 1 corners with respect to Keitrell Clark and the aforementioned Marco Wilson. So it's a little bit more even this year. The Cardinals, 20th in rush yards per game allowed this year, 17th in turnovers. Those are the big ones that I think have to change. I think they will change this year.
Yeah.
Sacks, obviously, I think it was a down year for sacks in general in the NFL. But then the Cardinals had 41. You look at the teams that were in the top 8 to 10 of the NFL, they didn't double their total, but I mean it was a seismic difference from the 41 that they had. So I look at this and I think that this defense is going to be infinitely better because they have better players. And last year they lose Ojulari and Darius Robinson. They lose Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols. There are 4 defensive players in the front 7 they were counting on. They didn't have it all last year.
Yeah.
You just wiped the slate clean, save for Sean Murphy Bunting kind of screwing around and getting some interceptions. And then Mac Wilson Sr. being a good addition.
Yeah.
They didn't add anybody. They had nobody different from 2023. The only thing that was different was the schedule. But the continuity from Nick Rallis was everything. So I don't know if you're an NFL casual and you're scoring at home and you found yourself on this podcast, go look at the Cardinals' schedule this year. They play the NFC and AFC South. And the 2 of the most offensively challenged divisions in the league. Even Houston last year took a step backward offensively.
Right.
There is no reason why, given the personnel and the continuity, I would be very disappointed if the Cardinals did not have a top 10 defense in most statistical categories. I think sacks are going to be, I think they will have over 50 to 55 sacks this year. They had 41 last year. I think it's very conservative that they're over in that number.
Well, I think 41 is that number doesn't tell the entire story. When you start to look at pressure rate and how low they were, the bottom part of the league, I think anywhere from 29th to 31st, they were, as far as pressure rate, pass rush, win rate, they just weren't, analytically any NFL darlings on the defensive side of the football. So obviously with the additions of Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, Walter Nolen, Josh Sweat, that's going to increase, and they should, move themselves to at least the middle of the league there. And then to what you're saying, I think you will see those sack numbers jump up significantly. You know, to add like 10 to a dozen sacks to that puts you up in the top parts of the league right there. I mean,
yeah, it does.
I mean, it's enough. It's sufficient enough. It's even with, you know, Jonathan Gannon, who doesn't think sacks are winning stat, like he'll take it. I think he would sign up to be close to 50 sacks. That would be suffice enough. And then turnovers, you're right. I mean, the turnovers have to happen. And even when you think back last year, like to the turnovers, like how many like crucial turnovers did they get? Like they got a couple turnovers here and there. Like somebody mentioned Sean Murphy bunting, like in that Green Bay game, he had a pick. Like that game was already in the bag for the Packers, unfortunately. Like the Kazir White pick, huge, right? And they had a couple, you know, decent picks here and there. Like Garrett Williams in Seattle could have been a big one that just couldn't cash in. So, like, can they create more turnovers, and in turn, can they play that complementary football and turn those into points? I mean, that's where we kind of start to get going as a team. So, I mean, those numbers there from 2023 to 2024 are nothing short of a miracle when you understand
it's remarkable,
the full context. And I'll say this, like, what would come with a top 10 defensive performance would come the bad part of it and good part. But the bad part where it catapults Nick Rallis, who didn't have any interviews this past offseason, into, I think, multiple interviews in serious head coaching candidate next offseason.
Yeah. I mean, it's what every great team has to deal with. I mean, like, if you want to get back to the playoffs, you have to do it behind Nick Rallis this year. Like, I am willing to be pleasantly surprised with the offense, the evolution. Like, they should be better. But, like, I know what I feel like is the better coach unit on this team, and the unit that you're really doubling down on this year. You look last year, you mentioned turnovers. The 6 teams in the top 6 in the NFL in takeaways made the playoffs last year. In interceptions, I should say. I guess that doesn't include forced fumbles. You know how many picks the Cardinals had last year? 9. You know how many the Vikings had to lead the league? 24.
Wow.
And to your point, like, how many meaningful picks do they? They didn't have a defensive touchdown last year. Think about that. Joe Blow, Tennessee Titans probably had a defensive touchdown. The Browns, right? Like, because they didn't have the kind of players that could do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a skill, man.
Well, they didn't have the ability to rush and cover.
Right.
Like sometimes they would get rush, and then you could get a opposing quarterback on the ground, but they weren't consistently ratcheting up the pressure to make opposing quarterbacks make those fatal mistakes. They just didn't see it consistently enough. There wasn't
were way too comfortable.
Yeah, there weren't even like, you know, close opportunities. They weren't like, oh man, like he could have come down with that pick. Like it was like either quarterback would evade pressure and have all day to throw, and then just kind of play pass and catch with his receiver, who would have, you know, some space because they just had the time to do it. And another one thing that you could tell just statistically, as you kind of box score scout, is, you know, the run thing too was the entire 2023 season, because overall the roster, like the offense and the defense, were bad because it was a tear down rebuild. Is that they were chasing leads the entire, like the opposing offenses were sitting on leads the entire season long. Like there wasn't a big, you know, spot to where opposing offenses needed to throw the football. So, and they couldn't stop them. There was no reason to stop them or to stop running the football.
The Cardinals were in a really tough spot. Like the Miami game feels like the only game where the defense gave up a lead early. I mean, it's a hostile environment. We were there. It was hot. And the offense rallied and took the lead and won a game from behind. I mean, like, what other game can you think of? That was the tough part about last season in general, where it really felt like the Cardinals were either winning games handedly, the Rams, the Jets, the Bears, right? The close games, they have to find a way to get it done this year, especially, you know, in the second half. They lose the close games to Seattle both times. Second game was closer than that final score indicated because those Murray's interceptions. But Carolina, they lost. Minnesota, they lost. The Rams game, as I mentioned, late in the season. Like, those are games, like, defensively, when the margin for error is so small, and the Cardinals already have a coaching advantage. But, like, when the coaching matchup is even and you're going against Sean McVay, it's just about players, man. You got to have the players. And that's where it felt like this offseason, they had an understanding that we have to raise the talent bar on this defense. It's like, you're, you like NASCAR, you dabble with NASCAR, and it's like you're a top driver and you don't have the parts to compete in, the big race. Hey, the big race is coming up, and Bo Brack, we got to give him something to drive here. That's what Nick Rallis needs. Yeah, I'm just Mr. NASCAR guy, if you couldn't tell.
We're neither one of us are. I don't know why you would assume that.
I thought you were a NASCAR guy. My bad. Might be.
Only when it's out at the Phoenix Raceway am I down with some engines that go vroom vroom. But outside of that, we are completely in and over our head. But I did love to hear you just kind of struggle through it.
I was hoping it was going to come to me, and I'm like, what are some of the NASCAR terminology? It's like the Daytona 500. I know what that is.
Yeah, there you go.
500. Yeah, there are probably better analogies for me to use.
There's I think the Shady Rays 200.
You're kind of a gearhead, aren't you?
Big time. The Pure Edibles 600.
Little sneak peek into my world. You know how like the algorithm will sometimes throw reels and stuff onto your Instagram, Johnny? You've mentioned this before with like me and like Star Wars and Family Guy stuff. Bo Brock puts a ton of NASCAR stuff on my Instagram.
That's why he brought that up, Damon. That's why he said that.
This is why that is.
Why are you liking NASCAR reels on Instagram?
I'm a big supportive guy. When I first cracked into media, I work with a duo that their primary job is motorsports, and when they put a ton of content on my Instagram feed, and I being a good guy, even though I don't know what it is, I hit a like. I just drop a like on it. If I follow you, I drop a like.
You're such a sweet guy, Bo.
You are a great guy. You know what? And I've seen you do that with other content creators, so I know it's true. I know you'll throw a like for anybody. So that's Damon. That's literally why I said the NASCAR thing, because I've just assumed Bo like he was a gearhead. He's not though. We are truck guys for Sanderson Ford, but he's not a gearhead. So to put the finishing touches on this, we don't have a graphic. I'm just gonna read to everybody the additions defensively this offseason.
Oh,
okay.
I'm just
so
put my hands up like you're just preaching in church, my man. Yeah, this is beautiful.
They've added more than this, but this is the group that this is a fun podcast here on a Friday. My goodness. This is the group that we're riding or dying with in 2025, respectfully. The newest additions to open up free agency. They signed Josh Sweat day one. Then 2 days later, we had a mini freak out, but then they got Dalvin Tomlinson. Then several weeks after that, they got Calais Campbell. Day two of free agency, they brought in Akeem Davis-Gaither. So right away in free agency, they brought in 4 starters. Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, Akeem Davis-Gaither. If Calais doesn't start, if he's a rotational guy, whatever. Okay, so there are 4 new starters on that defense. Then last week, what did this team do? Or 2 weeks ago, Walter Nolen, Will Johnson, Jordan Birch, Cody Simon, Denzel Burke. They got a first-round D tackle, a second-round number 1 corner, a fourth-round off-ball linebacker, and a fifth-round special team, maybe nickel corner safety.
Yeah.
9 additions. I didn't even include the kid they got in the 7th round, the safety, or Elijah Simmons, or, if they sign a corner before the start of the regular season. 9 guys, and conservatively, I would say at least 5 to 6 are going to play significant roles this year. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. And all of them, you could make a case, are upgrades definitively over what they have.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, they fill a massive need and give you an immense amount of confidence that hasn't been there for far too long. But like the spots that they're not filling, like there's confidence with guys like Garrett Williams, no doubt about it. Obviously, you got Budda Baker and Max Melton and Darius Robinson, like some guys that they've brought in as part of to kind of lay the foundation, and then they filled it in beautifully with an attacking, aggressive style this offseason through free agency and the draft. Like they were able to finally marry those two things instead of it just being so draft dependent, and it just kind of put them in a position to kind of cook with gas and really kind of revamp this thing that has been far too long just undermanned. You know, I do when you bring up the offseason and the first move that they made, Josh Sweat, and it takes me back to like the really uneasy first hours of the tampering period where the Cardinals are out on Milton Williams, but they're in on Milton Williams, and reportedly they're there to the bitter end.
That was tough.
Now in hindsight, looking at this defensive line and how it's been rebuilt, and it doesn't have the huge investment. Then neither one of us were scared off of the price tag for Milton Williams. But I ask you now, with hindsight being 2020, what you prefer or what you would have preferred, Milton Williams on day one of the tampering period, or what they've done, including Walter Nolen 16th overall?
Not even close. It's a great conversation starter. I feel like Walter Nolen and Josh Sweat is a better combination than Milton Williams and who? Shamar Stewart a Cardinal today? I think there's a chance he might be.
Just going based off of who
there's
drafted.
Yeah. I also think, this team might have sniffed around. If they had got Milton Williams, they might have still sniffed around for a starting edge rusher in free agency. So we don't know how that would have unfolded. Who's the equivalent of edge rusher of Dalvin Tomlinson in free agency? But you're trotting out not Josh Sweat and Baron Browning heading into the draft. Like it needed to be a priority. I would think it would have been Shamar Stewart. That's based on what I know and people we talked to. The league likes Shamar Stewart. The Cardinals did too. I mean, we make fun of the Bengals because of the Bengals, but they took him because somebody else was going to take him right behind them. We know that. So Cardinals brought him in. They liked his physical tools, but everybody on the football gods green earth would rather have Walter Nolen over Shamar Stewart. And then if you couple Walter Nolen with Josh Sweat, and by the way, the trio, let's just call it what it is. The trio of Josh Sweat as their marquee free agent and their top two picks of Walter Nolen and Will Johnson. No one's beating that. That is the bet. You got a top 5 free agent, a top 2 defensive free agent, a top 10 draft pick at 16, and a first-round caliber corner at 47. No one's touching that. Sweat, Walter Nolen, Will Johnson is as good as any franchise is going to do. And Milton Williams would have been nice. I'm a huge Milton Williams guy. Yeah. I think we all agree Walter Nolen is supposed to be Milton Williams, if not better. So let's party. Milton Williams was a 4th rounder once upon a time. Well, I was watching Walter Nolen tape today, splitting double teams against Michigan. Or LSU. Remember Will Frazier, who we liked that the Lions took? He put him in the ground. He put him in the dirt when they played each other. Yeah, they unlock Walter Nolen. We're never going to think about Milton Williams ever again.
Just looking at the slotted money for Walter Nolen, 16th overall, it's under $20 million in total money. Just a 4-year contract, and then there's the 5th year on top of that. But just the slotted money in total is $19.34 million. He's going to make $3.5 million this season. Milton Williams signed a 4-year, $104 million contract with $63 million guaranteed.
It's a lot.
I mean, you're seeing the price just completely continue to go up. We talked about it on yesterday's show, what franchises value, with the Green Bay Packers, they're staring down 2 first-round picks from the 2022 draft that they got to pick up the 5th-year option. No, off-ball linebacker, but defensive lineman, there's a deal there in a 5th-year option. We're going to hit that on Devontae Wyatt. We're going to flip that switch, and we're going to keep him under contract because you're seeing that, how aggressive teams are. You have a good defensive lineman, and he hits free agency, there's going to be a bidding war. You're going to get priced out of that. Where off-ball linebacker, there's only going to be a few teams willing to pay a premium price for that.
We're going to talk 5th-year options here in a little bit, but first we're going to break down some of our favorite and least favorite picks of the 2025 NFL Draft. We got almost 300 watching live on a Football Friday. Drop a like, subscribe, get us to 40K before the end of the show. Let us brag that we were the show, that we were the audience that got this company to 40K. It's PHNX Cardinals. Feeling good this summer because of my friends at All Pro Shades Concepts. Listen, it's quickly approaching uncomfortable heat here in Arizona. Don't be uncomfortable. All Pro Shades has got your back. Extend your outdoor living space with a custom fit awning, hundreds of designs, colors to choose from, motorized and retract with a remote control, all LED lighting to light up your patio awning. Again, roll down patio shades. They block out the sun, keep the patio up to 20 degrees cooler. Hundreds of colors, durable fabric to withstand the hot Arizona sun. And again, right now, they're going to hook you up with a free home estimate. And a lot of people have been asking me, Johnny, I've got one on my house. I don't love it. Is there anything that they can do? Absolutely. Give them a call, 623-204-1476, or visit them at allproshades.com. They can give you an estimate on a complete gut job, or they can see if they can salvage what you already have. That's because they're the best BBB A+ rating with over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. They've been in this business for 20 years, making handmade shades for friends and family. Now they're one of the largest installers of patio roll-down shades and motorized awnings in the Valley. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call them now, 623-204-1476, allproshades.com. Bo, get your free estimate today.
You got to tap into the best sale of the year, up to 45% off the entire project over at Empire today. If you're looking for carpet, you're looking for laminate, you're looking for hardwood, vinyl, tile, if you're looking for something for your business or for your home, you check them out and start your journey with $350 off at empiretoday.com/PHNX and use the code PHNX to start your journey with that $350 off. Potentially 45% off your entire project, whether you're looking for carpeting or laminate or that hardwood. Check in with their professionals over there, and they are absolute flooring professionals. They didn't just they weren't at what the previous business and operation was in the building before that. I don't know, Sears or whatever it might be, or somebody was working at McDonald's. No, they actually are professionals as far as flooring, and they're going to give you the best insight you can find, and they're going to make it quick, easy, painless, convenient for you to upgrade your flooring. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners, they can receive that $350 discount and promo code PHNX. That's just how you're going to activate it. You heard that right. Schedule your free in-home estimate with Empire today, empiretoday.com/PHNX. And of course, you know that number, you know the jingle, 800-588-2300. It's Empire Today.
Drop a like on this video. Man, what a banner month of April we had. Of course, capped off the coup de grace, the NFL draft, and Bo mentioned it yesterday, and I agree. We didn't have a chance to go through some of our favorite and least favorite. We're going to laugh at some people picks within the entirety of the class. The notables, right? We're always talking about who are the notables. Any notables here? We're going to go through them all. Let's start, Bo, with some of our favorite picks. And we don't like to give out credit too often on this show to any other team outside of Arizona, but we're putting our Cardinals on the shelf temporarily, and we're just coming at it as a football fan, whether it's where they got them, the scheme fit, positional value, what have you. These are our favorite picks in a nutshell for the 2025 NFL draft. I'll highlight a couple. Matthew Golden, the value that the Packers got. You watch Jordan Love and that Packer offense in the postseason. They needed a deep play wide out. I didn't love this receiver class outside of the first couple, but it did feel like good value with the Texas receiver, where the Packers in years prior, I feel like would have been maybe too stringent to take a receiver this high, but I liked Golden becoming available and them jumping on that opportunity. I also liked Derek Harmon, who, if he didn't have the shoulder issue, I think a lot of people thought he could contend with Walter Nolen. Pittsburgh gets him in the early 20s. They don't freak out and take a trash quarterback. They continue to build their line of scrimmage. Those are two of my favorite. Bo, who else do you like on this list?
Man, this is a solid list. I mean, as we've got mostly first rounders, you've got two second rounders in here, and Jonas Avenea and Donovan Ezeraku, which are solid. Jumping back into the first round, man, somebody who's maybe not on here. I honestly like the fit. I like the ability to sit potentially early on for Jackson Dart in Brian Dable, who's
interesting.
I think that they didn't have to pay a premium price to get back in. They're not paying like the price that the Atlanta Falcons did to get an edge at 27. But I know it wasn't nothing, but I kind of like that deal, just given the context of it. I wouldn't like it if they were bringing in Jackson Dart to start tomorrow. Right. But I think that there could be just what his athleticism, his ability to throw the football. We're watching him talk to John Gruden. He's never had a snap cadence ever.
That was a little
he's only clapped his hands. Which when we did talk to Lane Kiffin yesterday, he thinks there's being too much made of that. But I mean, I thought that the back half of the first round was a little bit better than the middle of the first round.
Let's see that list one more time.
The first round wasn't bad either. I mean, it was pretty chalky. It was just not the characters we anticipated, like Jacksonville being 2 instead of Cleveland being 5. But with the order of players that went, from Ward, Hunter, Carter, Campbell, Graham, Janty, Mimbo, I thought the Jets did a good job of not screwing it up and taking the franchise caliber tackle. That's a decent pick.
Let's look at that list one more time. I have to give Carolina their flowers because we made fun of them all offseason. They had telegraphed their pick with Kay Adams, Jalen Walker, Mykel Williams, or Walter Nolen. And then they just take T-Mac. And they're like, we're into T-Mac. And I honestly think that's a good landing spot. Like Bryce Young showed he's not completely inept last year. He beat the Cardinals. I think Tedero McMillan's going to get spammed the football. I think that's a really good landing spot for him. I also like Donovan Jackson. I would rather have Donovan Jackson where the Vikings got him than Tyler Booker being a top 12 pick. I think that's a horrendous pick by the Dallas Cowboys. Donovan Jackson, play at Ohio State. Hopefully they don't play him at tackle. I think he can be a Pro Bowl caliber guard. And they've fortified. They've put a premium on line of scrimmage players in Minnesota. So, and then, our guy Jonah falling to Miami Dolphins, Malachi Starks, everybody in the NFL every year slobbers all over the Ravens. So we got to give them credit too. So these are some of our favorites, but that's not why you're here. You guys are here.
Wait, let's finish this off real quick.
You got one? You got something else?
We can in unison finally is a podcast. We can, I think, all clasp hands together and say that we like the landing spot for the New York Giants in running back Cam Skattebo.
I couldn't put it on the graphic, but I will agree with you here on a Football Friday. I do think. Listen, I think there are people in that fan base that want him to start right now.
Yeah.
As much as I love Cam Skattebo, there was no way I was going to pound the table to say he should supplant James Conner, who's a freak show in his own right. Cam Skattebo is going to have a lot of support from that fan base. And he's going to be a part of an offense that they're going to have limitations at quarterback, whether it's Dart or Russell Wilson or whomever. It's a good landing spot for him. If they can find a way to run block in the NFC East, he will produce. And what if he wins? What if Cam Skattebo exits training camp as the starter? What will you say? If they're like, Cam Skattebo starting week 1, will your perception change on what he can be in the NFL?
What's your perception of my perception?
I think your perception is very similar to Fran, where you think he's a backup.
Okay. And I think that's fair, but I also think that backups, especially at the running back position, can carry the load as a starter.
I think the Giants feel like they got a starter in the 4th round of running back.
Yeah, and that's fair. And they had it was more valuable to them than it would be for the Arizona Cardinals.
Sure. And that was always the toughest part about making the case for Skattebo.
Yeah. I mean, it was the wrong case in the end of the day.
Okay. Well,
I like also I thought that the Texans, Arante Ursi in the 2nd round was good. Okay. Given what they were able to do. I like Nick Scorton.
Yeah,
for the Panthers, like those guys that you viewed as fringe first. If you get him in the 2nd, you can persuade me that. I think
Carolina had a pretty good draft. T-Mac, Gorton, and then they jumped Arizona for Princely, or we think they did. Yeah, those are pretty good picks for them.
Tate Ratledge going to Lions just feels like it's a good pick. Give them an interior guy to mix along with those elite tackles.
Yeah,
those are some good guys in the 1st and 2nd rounds. Let's get gross now. Let's talk about some bad picks. Unless Damon's got a couple goodies in there.
No, I mean, I thought obviously like the Ravens, you could just kind of chalk up all of their picks every year. It's like, oh, Mike Green in the 2nd round at pick like 57 or whatever they got him at. Crazy pick. Same with Malachi Starks. Felt like he fell a little bit. But yeah, I think that you guys nailed it. I like the Ezraku pick a lot.
That's good value for Dallas. I mean, I like their 2nd round pick more. That Tyler Booker pick, man. I'm just not gonna get over that.
Overall,
it's bad, man. And they literally I saw a thing. First grading I saw was like A+ for the Cowboys, and I was like,
a lot of people were.
They reached hard.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of our least favorite picks. It's time to laugh here on the show. Travis Hunter is not a bad prospect. The Jaguars package they gave up was a joke.
Yeah.
We broke it down live on air. Like, until the James Pierce Jr. trade, which we'll talk about, the Travis Hunter trade was the worst trade of the night. The Browns had to do it. It was like, you are moronic if you don't accept this offer. And then they blew their picks, did the Browns, which makes it just a lose-lose on both ends. But you're giving up a future 1+ for a guy that, in my opinion, you question the competition level in the Big 12. He's so adamant he's playing both ways. I can't get a straight answer on what's his better position. I feel like both Shedeur and Travis Hunter, in their own retrospects, will either fail or underachieve in the NFL. I've fully come around on that, where I don't think either are going to be very good.
Yeah, it's just what they spent to get up from 5 to 2.
Yeah.
The math doesn't math for me there. Even though, like, I think Travis Hunter put in the right situation can be successful, but how many guys going through the draft process say, hey, let's look for the right situation for this guy, and it's Jacksonville, and that turns out, to be a good story. It's very few and far between. Guys just kind of go there, and even if they're good players at the NFL level, they never really kind of hit, because Jacksonville, there seems to be a ceiling there, because you can't get elevated by the roster you're on. It's because it's always kind of mid, and like, there was a future first in there, wasn't there?
Yes. They gave up their first next year.
Yeah, so Cleveland owns the first round pick for the Jaguars next year. That's unbelievable.
Like, kid genius Doogie Howser running the Jags. And then his like post game press conference, and he like had that prepared speech, and I'm like, bro, calm down, take it down a notch, settle down. Did you see his speech? He went off like philosophically preached on why it was important, and they had to take a stand, and blah blah blah. And basically, like, them drafting Travis Hunter and what Travis Hunter represents, like, push the boundaries of the NFL and rethink. No, you're asking a guy to play both ways in the NFL. It will not work. It's never worked. What, are you an idiot? Are you a moron? Like, you can kind of maybe screw around and do that against, the Big 12s of the world. Because guess what? How many Big 12 players got drafted? I guarantee not as many as SEC and Big 10 players last weekend. Like, sure, for every Cam Scatterbo, there's about 10 Big 10 players. It's that he's going to have to pick one or the other. You cannot master. Patrick Peterson said it on our show. You can't master both sides of the ball. There's only so much time anointed for practice and for film and continuity to build. You're like, not only you have to be like the best athlete in the history of the NFL, your IQ has to be off the charts to be able to have the instincts and the playbook knowledge to embrace both sides. It's moronic.
The physicality, the sheer physicality of what's going to be asked on both sides of the football, and playing, the amount of snaps that he wants to play.
Yeah.
There's going to be, a little bit of a realization there that it's not that possible. But they can't possibly, and it sounds like they're going to be more offense before defense, which
cool.
That's fine. What I think we're really like, what's going to be cold takes as far as that is the comps that they would make on both sides of the football. It's like, well, Travis Hunter is a mix between Randy Moss and no, I mean, I'm making that up, but it wasn't far off. Like, he's like this, and he's Champ Bailey on the other side. It's like, come on, guys, can we not disrespect the legends, the titans of this game? Like, he can be good. Like, he is good on both sides of the football, but to say he's Hall of Fame caliber on both sides, I think that's a little crazy.
You hit the jackpot last year when you fired Trent Baalke, which needed to be done, but you hit the jackpot on Brian Thomas Jr. last year. Like, why do you need another wideout?
They hit the jackpot on BTJ, but it's like, when you look back at the Baalke firing, it was also to make way for Liam Cohen. And it's just like, was that the guy? You should have just fired Trent Baalke to begin with.
Yeah.
Because he's bad at his job. But then to do it to land Liam Cohen after he'd already said thanks, but no thanks. And you're seeing how he's He's playing catch with Travis Hunter. His buddies with his players and stuff. It's going to be a disaster class with what's going on in Jacksonville, and it continued and showed kind of how inept that they're going to be going forward. This guy giving up a first to get up 3 spots to take a guy that I don't know what he's going to look like at the next level.
Bad. Let's keep the bad train going here. We've ripped on it enough. Actually, you know what? Colston Loveland, Chicago Bears. We can't do it justice as well as the video. Damon, cue it up. Let's see it.
With the 10th overall pick, the Chicago Bears are selecting Michigan tight end Colston Loveland.
Wow, that was a very different reaction than Roma Dunze last year.
If they announced Tyler Warren, I think this room would have went crazy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Wow. Colston Loveland. Wow.
So good.
Loveland, wow.
We're not bad people, but
you had Hogue looking around the room like he was being punked, like somebody had like pirated the feed.
Can I, you guys know this. We're not tooting our own horn here. We put so much time and energy into draft season, right? Leading up to typically just one moment, right? Same with our brethren at CHGO, and they crush it. It's the best Bears podcast out there, and I feel like I should preface every conversation every time we play that video. It's an unbelievable show. They do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the amount of time and energy you put into this, and that having that be the pick in front of a live audience has to be one of the biggest demoralizing moments of your professional career. Like, we have not had to have that. Thankfully, like, you and I have been taken care of as a partnership here. Paris,
kind of. Like the first one we did together.
But our show and our coverage wasn't what it is now, for sure. But like Paris, Marv, we love the Darius pick, and then obviously we love Walter Nolen. Like, we're in very good hands right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when Kai would make the picks, and I would have to sit there and cope and rationalize it. It's one of, because as a fan, you're like, I am not a scout, I'm not a GM, I'm not a coach, but I know this is not going to work, guys. Are we serious? Are you cereal in my milk?
It's not the way. I give way to the professionals, but even the novice, I know that this is not the right pick. And perfectly said. CHGO crushes it. And we were sitting there at 16, and we thought we knew what to hold true.
Yeah,
you didn't know, but then when you heard it, my God, it was like a warm blanket. Like Walter Nolen, they did the right thing. They continue to do it. Let it wash over you. It's unbelievable, because like there is that shadow of a doubt, because we've been doing this for so long and following this team and the horror shows that came with that and the nightmares. And like so many times you're like, oh, it just makes too much sense to take this player, and then they go a different direction, and Johnny's saying you're coping with it. You're trying to figure out why they would do that after doing all this research and saying, well, this looks so much better. Why didn't you just do that? And that's what they have going on in Chicago. Like, you can come up with all the logical pathways in this draft. You can analyze it, and it makes so much sense. And then the actual decision maker is going to go rogue and do something completely like dumbfounding.
Oh man.
And we did at least like throughout our mock drafts, we did pin that on polls.
I feel like I got to say my favorite thing about MP, our resident Bears fan who hops in the chat here, is when he goes dark mode after the Bears get embarrassed.
It's like,
so like when the Cardinals and Amari DeMercado, ran down the Bears' throats last year, MP was gone until the offseason.
Yeah.
Then he came back to tell us all the Cardinals suck. Kyler Murray's a bad quarterback. And then right after the draft happened, he left again forever. So when do we think he'll be back? Preseason? When he talked himself into
Caleb Williams throws like
I think he's done this enough to where rookie mini camp and guys are Colston Loveland is out there hitting a sled. And
that's going to go nuts. It's like embedded video of Colston Loveland like catching a slant on air in shorts. People are going to be like, that's Mike Ditka 2.0. Oh my God. He's going to prove everybody wrong. Look at him attack the blocking sled.
We have Gronk and Aaron Hernandez 2.0.
There you go.
Jesus. Yeah, you're right. We did have this pegged because every time we did a mock draft, we never, ever gave the Bears a traditional player. It was always Tyler Warren. In my mock draft, I think at GoPHNX.com, the last one I did, I think I gave them like Henderson after Albright said that. You just felt like that's how it was going to go, and it was. Let's keep things going here. Let's look at a couple more selections. Despite Jahdae Barron, we wanted no part of him at 16. Thank God that didn't happen. Broncos get him. It's fine. That's fine. Whatever. But then, of course,
we put together a little short video here on PHNX Sports on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't, about Jonathan Gannon's comments about Will Johnson.
Yeah.
And some Broncos fan jumped in saying, like, best corner must have, forgot about Jahdae Barron, and people just roasted that guy. He's like, first off, you can't be the best corner if you don't primarily play outside.
No. He's an inside slot corner. Cardinals never needed that. The James Pierce Jr. trade up is one of the worst trade ups in the history of the draft, given where they were. So I like James Pierce Jr. a lot, and I hope he's a good player. And I hate the LA Rams. The LA Rams took the Atlanta Falcons to the woodshed. They got the Falcons' future one next year to basically go back about 20 spots this year in a bad draft. It's just not a good pick. It's not good team building. The more I hear about, by the way, his running mate, Jalen Walker, the less I like, potentially injured. It makes me think that they're going to play Jalen Walker at off-ball linebacker, and then James Pierce Jr. is going to be their traditional edge rusher. I got tipped off. I'm not convinced the Cardinals were going to select Jalen Walker had he been there at 16. Atlanta, they're just like, between that and the Michael Penix pick last year, you just feel like they're just very similar to how Poles operates. No self-control.
Yeah, I mean, Terry Fontenot gifting a first-round pick, a 2026 first-round pick to the Rams. It's I really haven't seen that before, where you're able to get out of the bottom of the first round and collect a future first. If it's ever happened, it's rarely happened. And to go out there and get a player, even though, I think his tape speaks for itself and his production in the SEC, it's all good. And they got him in a good spot, but the cost of doing so kind of really devalues it. But, if he turns out to be a good pick, that'd be good on them. But the Rams, who used to be devoid of first round picks, now are flush with them. And I hate to see that.
Yeah, they think they're better than us. They're not. Tyler Shuck to the Saints is such a wasted pick. It reminds me that Tyler Shuck pick in the second reminds me of when the Panthers took Jimmy Clausen in the second round on a bad team. Then they sacrificed Jimmy Clausen on a team that had the first overall pick the next year, and then they took Cam. I think that's what's going to happen to the Saints. Is Tyler Shuck's going to fraud it up this year, and the Saints are going to win about 3 games, and then they're going to have the first overall pick, and they're just going to be like, Tyler Shuck is no good to us. Like Will Levis. It's like, hey, here's Will Levis in the second round, Tennessee. They're terrible. Okay, first overall pick, Tennessee Titans. Like the bad teams drafting these second round quarterbacks that aren't good.
Right.
Just like say what you want about like the Steelers and some of these other teams. It's like, if you don't love the quarterback, you don't love the quarterback. Just take good position players. 2017 was, a good draft in hindsight for the Cardinals because they didn't force. I'll never forget. I was like, are they going to take Deshaun Kaiser in the second round? No, they just took Budda Baker. They're just like, oh, let's take Budda.
I don't understand the infatuation with Tyler Shuck. I understand that he performed well at practices in the Senior Bowl, and he looked good outside of that horrendous throw. horrendous throw at the combine.
I know which one you're talking
With
about.
nobody coming at him and nobody defending the wide receiver.
He was working on something different.
I don't work on it at a different time, buddy. This is your job interview.
Is that what he said, Damon? I was working on something.
Yeah, he said he was like working on some fundamentals.
Perfect time to do it.
Whoever gave him that advice, or if he was just freestyling, it's like, okay, this is a learning thing. Just like, him throwing a horrendous pass in a game where he underhanded a ball after facing just some okay pressure. It's not going to be anything that he's going to see at the NFL level. But you look at his numbers, like last year was by far his best season.
Yeah.
3,100 yards, almost 3,200 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 6 picks. Before that, his career high in touchdown passes were 13. This is his touchdown total. 0 in 2018 when he was a freshman. 3, 13. Then he transfers to Texas Tech for 3 years. 6, 7, 7, and then 23. It's not in the ACC. That's not a ton of production at all.
He backed up Justin Herbert. He was Herbert's backup.
He's the last guy, assumingly so, to be drafted that was born in the 90s. He's gonna be 26 in September.
It's just such a waste of a pick. You're just so dumb. These teams.
By the time his contract is up, he's gonna be 30.
Just blow it up, Saints. What are you doing? All right, last couple here, then we'll head to break. I did not like. Let's see it one more time, Damon, if we could. Least favorite picks here, rounding things out. Mason Taylor, is it son of Jason Taylor?
Yes.
Related to Joy Taylor.
That's his aunt.
Aunt Joy. Wow.
Relevancy, Your Honor.
That's the only thing I care about. And then I've ripped on this, Bo.
Overruled, Damon.
Alfred Collins. The Niners had their pick of second-round defensive tackles. They picked one of the worst. Alfred Collins' limitations rushing the passer, did not like that pick at all. I loved it for the Cardinals because your division rivals are getting worse. But those are our least favorite picks. Let us know yours. Drop a comment. Your super chats and more coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals.
I hated this Wessinger pick as well for the Browns to lead off the. But look, let's talk about some of our favorite picks. Of course, our friends over at Pure Edibles. Pure Edibles dominating in the state of Arizona. They're a top pick. How about in each and every one of 130 dispensaries here in AZ? Pure Edibles, founded in Arizona, available in 130 dispensaries statewide. Pure gummies, not covered in sugar like all of their competitors. They just douse them with sugar, not Pure Edibles. They're a candy company, and they like to take great care of them as they're crafting them. They're gummies, they're kicks that are just like Starburst. They're chews, soft candies like caramel, of course, hard candies. And when you get your hands on some Pure Edibles, the effects are clearly listed on each tin, so you know exactly effects to expect. Pure offers gummies for sleep support and candies with uplifting effects and are derived with unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, CBD with marijuana derived from THC. Get yourself some Pure gummies that are designed to be ripped and bit in half. They're great for sharing and also dialing in that exact dose. Go find yourself some Pure Edible products from one of the 130 dispensaries across Arizona. Pure Edibles.
Love our friends at Pure Edibles. You know, they pair well with a snack, a goodie from Circle K, and you can get one on the house. Well, not exactly, but you can get a deal on maybe a 79-cent Polar Pop or Froster plus cheap gas by becoming a member of the Inner Circle for free right now by downloading the Circle K app today. All you need, phone number and email address. You're ready to rock and roll. Save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents per gallon every single day. Again, they got all the original snacks that kept me fueled and ready to go throughout the course of the NFL draft and more. Again, this summer, popping off with Polar Pops for 79 cents, Frosters. You know what it is. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. 320 watching live on a Football Friday. We appreciate you. Get locked and loaded. Could be a special season upcoming for the Arizona Cardinals. Mainly because they're getting out of their own way. They're doing smart things. They're not big dummies like a lot of these teams like we're talking about. The Saints, right? We don't think the Bears are very well run right now. And we talked about it earlier this week with the Packers declining Walker, the off-ball linebacker, his fifth-year option. Fifth-year options have been horror shows for off-ball linebackers, yet people in this media market were pounding the table for Jahad Campbell, not this fanboy podcast. So I thought it would be fun. There was a graphic on Twitter. I don't like Warren Sharp, but he had a graphic. I don't know if he made it or if he stole it from somebody, but it has a breakdown of the teams that have been most successful picking up fifth-year options, and then also the positions that have found the fifth-year option picked up the most to the least. Let's take a look at this, Bo. Very interesting. Let's start on the left. This is since its inception in 2011. Cardinals ranked picking up fifth-year options 26. That's not surprising. They've been horrendous in the first round, which comes with fifth-year options. The worst somehow in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks, followed by the Las Vegas Raiders, the Bears, Tennessee Jacks. Bad teams. The Patriots. At the top, though, Carolina. Carolina has hit on 11 of 12 of their fifth-year options. Really impressive for Carolina. I don't know who they're drafting, but them, Houston, the Rams, the Falcons, the Chiefs, they're picking up fifth-year options. Now, what I want to say is this. Fifth-year option, if you pick it up, you could be trying to justify a bad pick, right? Like Damon Buchanan had his fifth-year option picked up once upon a time. It doesn't necessarily deem it a successful pick, Bo, but it gives you an idea. Like the Cardinals have just been atrocious with drafting players in the first round and keeping them around long term.
Yeah, and it's shown here. It's great to see a division rival below that. I was shocked to see how few draft picks Seattle's made in the first round since the inception of the fifth-year option. 7 for Seattle, and they've only picked up 1. That's insane. It's the worst hit rate in the NFL, but also they have the least amount of first-round picks, I think, during that span, just before Indy at 8, but they've actually hit on that. But Cardinals, it's been brutal. I think Patrick Peterson got his picked up, right? He's concluded on this. He was the
DJ
first.
Humphries.
Yeah, DJ Humphries, Kyler Murray,
Damon Buchanan.
So there's 4 of the 5. Michael Floyd didn't get his picked up, right?
No, I don't believe so. 4 out of the 5, and then who was the? Oh man, Simmons, no. Josh Rosen, no. I mean, Zaven Collins, no.
Hassan Reddick, no.
20. I mean,
not Kimdichie.
Not Jonathan Cooper. I mean, did they just pick up Floyd's fifth year just to pick him up? Pick it up? I'll have to. All right, they did pick it up. They picked up Michael Floyd's fifth year option. It was only $7 million.
Okay.
So it was Michael Floyd, Pat P.
And
so by the way, of those 5 they picked up, 2 of those were Rod Graves guys. So only had 3 guys with fifth-year options that they pick up. Kyler Murray, Damon Buchanan, who didn't get a second contract, and DJ Humphries. So let's see that graphic one more time, because I think the more interesting part of this is on the right-hand side. And that is, the positions that do and do not get picked up, friends. Tight end is number 1 because there has been so few, and you feel like you have to justify that pick. 7 of 8 tight ends have gotten their first round pick or fifth-year option picked up. Whatever, that's fine. That's an anomaly. It's not real life. Then what is it, friends? D tackles. Oh, really? Defensive backs. Oh, really? Tackles, edge rushers, wide receivers, and quarterbacks. That's the end of the green. Guess where the red starts on this graphic? Oh, off-ball linebackers? I would imagine 20 out of 40 have gotten it. Most of those 20 came early in the early 2010s, right? We've charted it on our graphic. Then you've got centers, just 4 out of 9, guards, 8 out of 20, and running backs is the worst, 5 out of 14 since 2011. I mean, we can get infatuated with these prospects and we can watch them, cut up a YouTube video, but God, you should only be drafting defensive tackles, corners, tackles, edge rushers, wideouts, and quarterbacks in the first round. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this is telling you. That's what the data tells you. I mean, people are gonna try to tell you that certain prospects transcend that, and then they end up looking back at it in hindsight and say, well, it's not much different than the other guys that were 4 and done on their initial rookie contracts. I mean, that plays into the value of your first round pick. Otherwise, there's not much of a difference between the rest of the draft. Obviously, you're going to be in a closer position to get maybe a more surefire prospect. But as you know, like I think first round picks just go to show like their bustability is just right there with the rest of the day 2 and day maybe early day 3. But I mean, you lose value of your first round pick by taking these non-premium positions. Anybody that wants to tell you interior offensive line or off-ball linebacker, I'm telling you, like if you're a Cardinals fan, you're not going to find your general manager playing in that sandbox. Because he wants to maximize the value of his first round pick. And that all plays into it. He's not going to just say, this is the best player at his position, thus he's the best player for us to take at 16th overall in the first round. It doesn't work that way, because when it comes to the end of his 4-year initial contract, at 5th year, you can have some serious value in retaining that player beyond that year.
Tune out those voices that tell you that. Tune in to us as we go into overtime here on PHNX. The conversation continues. Go PHNX.com as we get to your super chats here in a second. But it goes back to you may like a running back after 4 years. You may like a guard. But when you're picking up a 5th-year option, you're paying them the height of that position. And most of the time, you're drafting those kind of players to be exceptions to the rules. Whereas if you take, and this was my argument the entire draft season for an edge rusher at 16, if you take an edge rusher, they don't have to be, peak Khalil Mack or TJ Watt. It's like, hey, does that guy get to the quarterback, half the season? Can he get to 8 to 12 sacks? Guess what then? Then we can pick up his 5th-year option. That's a good player. Same with defensive tackle. Same with cornerbacks, right?
Yeah.
It's an easy thing to process. Whereas, fair or not, we grade on a curve for running backs and off-ball linebackers where it's like, are you the best at your position? Are you? Do we run our offense through you, Mr. Running Back?
Yeah.
Hey, off-ball linebacker, are you peak Luke Kuechly? If you're not, we're not picking this up. I mean, because your White doesn't have a job today.
Right. Ashton Genty, I think immediately is thrown into one of the higher paid running backs in the league just off his rookie deal alone. And once they realize, especially when you put the mileage on a running back's leg 4 years into their career, and if they're not one of the best players at their position, that 5th-year option would put them right into that level of pay grade. So it doesn't make sense unless it's like a truly special generational type prospect, which I think a lot of talent evaluators, team builders wouldn't buy that too much. They're too invested in getting kind of the more surefire thing that's going to impact their team winning and losing for that next half decade in those premium positions.
CBK saying Genty's the 2nd highest paid running back in the league right now. That's just not. And listen,
overall, yeah, it makes sense.
You had people fighting over bad teams trying to draft. He could be awesome.
Yeah.
But
Genty is making $35.8 million as the 6th overall pick.
Yeah.
That's just under what Marv was making as the 4th overall pick, because it increases every year.
Yeah.
48 million for the total contract at number 1 for Cam Ward.
Weird. Joey, $4.99, kicking things off here on a Friday. Love the offseason moves, but where's our confidence on the offensive play calling? Loaded with talent, Bo, but was limited by Petzing, so scheme.
Yeah, there's going to be
what's your confidence level
in Petzing?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's been confidence from people that we trust following this team, reporting on this team, and Gannon and Awesomefort in Drew Petzing. So I think you just kind of have to see that play out. But once things start getting closer to the real deal in the 2025 season, like as I said, this conversation is going to shift. Like we've only kind of started to scratch the surface as far as running it back, copying and pasting the offense completely from one season to the next outside of your offensive line coach, which is different. It's going to be I'm going to be curious to see how that goes because Clayton Adams did it at such a high level. I like Justin Fry, but we'll see if it's similar because he's going from two different levels here.
I just keep going back to in 34 games, Drew Petzing has manufactured 2 100-yard wide receiving games, both from Marv. I mean, there's just there's something off. There's something off there. There's just, and I know a lot of it's dependent on the player, and he didn't have Kyler Murray for half of a season, but still, like that part of we almost fair or not week one, like you got to check those boxes for this fan base. Like you can't come out slow with a passing game that mirrored what you had last year.
Can I say this though?
Yeah.
Year one, you didn't have a wide receiver that could get over 100.
Yeah, that's
yards,
fair. I mean,
right?
Yeah, that's fair.
And like this isn't a complete hall pass on my behalf either. Playing a bit of a devil's advocate. Didn't have anybody in 2023 that could do it. Didn't have the quarterback play for a lot of the season to do it as well. Trey McBride has done it 5 times over that span.
Right.
You've got 7, and then also you've got like a Michael Wilson 98-yard receiving game here sprinkled in. So it's not. I think it is a red flag, and it needs to change. But at the same time, I'm not going to like make the crux of my argument on that either.
I just feel like I put Trey off to the side because like I know Trey is their number one option in the passing game, but just I think of tight ends and I think of like the intermediate stuff, ball control. When this team needed yards through the air last year, save for Miami, like they could not get it. Their passing game was they're broken. They couldn't manufacture a passing game when they had to have it. Fort Chubb, $2. Seeing 93 Calais Campbell on the field is going to make me cry. Well, it's a very emotional time for sure.
Love that he got 93. Justin Jones, as we speculated, he moved numbers. He's number 98 for the time being.
Hey, Justin, give it up right now. No. He's getting paid. Justin Jones is getting his money regardless, but there'll be a lot of 93s on display this year. That's for sure. Ryan Walker, both $5. Cody Simon, the 4th-round linebacker from Ohio State, will be a starter next to Mack Wilson Sr. by week 8. That'd be a nice little development, I think.
That'd be cool to see. Yeah, I mean, you're always rooting for late-round picks, underdogs, kind of to make their way. But I don't want to count out Akeem Davis-Gaither. I think that this is a guy that they brought in with a little confidence, can do the job, and we'll see who the best player is. And I got to imagine the green dot is going to be one of those 2 guys. I don't think they're going to do it with Mac. I don't think they're going to do it with anybody else on the defense. They're going to do it with who they believe is going to be on the field the most.
I don't love Akeem Davis-Gaither on the surface level, but what they've done with Mack Wilson Sr., could they duplicate that? I think that's what they think they can do. The 90s Poppy, $2. We finally got enough flex-ins on defense. Fixins, excuse me. Fixins on defense. I blew that 90s Poppy. I'm sorry.
You never say fixins again. No, look, yeah, we did get we loaded up and on the fixins as far as the defensive side of the football goes. You've got yourself an edge. You got multiple options, interior defensive line, young and old. You got some options on the second level. You got, and then of course your secondary. You maxed out, which you even think you could do with Will Johnson falling you 47th overall.
That episode of Eastbound and Down, when they are talking about the mall kiosk and the fixins that they're going to have. Do you remember what we probably can't say what the name of the business was. What were they selling? Were they doing like baked potatoes? Is that what they were doing? It was like baked potatoes and they needed some like sides for it. One of the greatest shows of all time. Robert, $2. Well, Cards will win the NFC West Championship. Will be their first one since 2015.
Wow. It's been a minute. Been some thin years between then and now. A lot of tough times. NFC West champions. I think you can get some good value on that right now as far as the odds makers go. Cardinals there's a lot of Rams Kool-Aid being consumed and a lot of Niners bounce back, which I don't know, 37-year-old Trent Williams, and then you've got the Brock Purdy contract situation, you got the Fred Warner contract situation, just resolved the paying over 30 tight end, the highest, most money in the NFL.
Their schedule's so bad, though. It's
yeah.
So bad. I'll tell you what, Seattle at 7.5. They're picked to finish last. That's a pretty big slap in the face for a team that wakes up every year and they have a winning record. So, yeah. The Niner Kool-Aid, we'll stomp a mud hole in it. It doesn't. I think the Cardinals match up very well with the 49ers since Gannon got here. They
2-0 last year. Obviously, you can't put too much stock in the finale, but you still got it done. They
match
really
up better with the Rams now too.
It's gonna be really important to win games in the division this year because of the Niners playing that just slum dog schedule that they have, and then you've got the other teams playing the same non-division opponents in the AFC South and NFC South. You're gonna have to stack victories and then also take care of business. I mean, it's gonna take 12 to 13 wins to win the NFC West.
I just feel like I don't want to live in a reality where this team gets off to a slow start and we have to hear about hot seats for Gannon or Austin Ford or K1. But year 3 of the rebuild, you got to make the playoffs. You just that's why I feel like last year, everybody does. It was a missed opportunity to check that box and be a year ahead on schedule. So we got plenty of time to cover it. We've got rookie mini camp kicking off next week. Bo, they're going to let you come screw around in Tempe next week?
I believe so. I think we're going to get some access to the on-the-field practices and talk to some of the incoming rookies, hopefully sign on their deals as well. So make sure you're following along at PHNX_Cardinals, following Johnny, Damon, Dawg, myself, Bo Brock. But it's been a banner week, man, breaking down this incredible draft class. On paper, Monty Osfort crushed it. Thank you to everybody that tuned in to all that coverage, that's tuned in all week long, all our new diehards. The conversation never stops there throughout the weekend, even though we don't have live shows. But look out for some great content hitting here on the YouTube stream. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. And other than that, have a great weekend. Do something big. Go see a movie. Go hang with some friends, family.
Subscribe to PHNX Sports.
No.
You could start your weekend off right and getting us to 40K. If we get to 40K by 12 o'clock midnight tonight, it will be because of this show. Let's do it. This show. Let's go right now. Everybody,
you're going to promise something. I was like, oh.
If we get to 40K, we're going to go live. No, I'm not doing that. The days
10 toes up, man. I'll be sleeping.
10 shows per week. We got your boys and
Damon's going to be out. God knows where, doing God knows what.
You don't even want to know.
Damon, I live vicariously through you. I want to hear about it all. I want to video it all.
I saw Damon on the social media streets did like a jersey swap.
Wow.
Do you remember this? You recollect this? This was on your Instagram stories. You were doing like a jersey swap with some other people.
Oh yeah, it was one of my buddies. It was actually two of my buddies. We did a three-way jersey swap. You don't see that too often.
No.
And yeah, we did it after the wedding. It was a beautiful scene. Just game respects game.
Man, Damon, you are on fire, young man. Kudos to everybody here in the chat. For Bo, Damon, I'm Johnny. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
We all silly like the mayor.